Did you ever wonder what would have happened if the new and old Marine generations fought each other? Would the current Marines win with their insane devil fruit powers? Or would the experience of the old generation prevail? Well, in order to answer that, I'll pick the 5 strongest Marines from each generation and put them against each other. Each side will start with only one fighter at first, but as soon as the fight is over, I'll keep adding more and more characters until we eventually reach the end, where both generations will fight at their full strength. Our first old generation fighter would be Tsuru, and her opponent from a new generation would be Admiral Kizaru. As you all know, Tsuru is often compared to Garp and Sengoku, which means that we can't really trust her Vice Admiral rank, because she is definitely much stronger than that. But is she strong enough to defeat Kizaru? Well, only thing we actually saw her do was defeat some low-level pirates at Marineford. Other than that, we know that she participated in the fight against Jack alongside Sengoku and Fujitora. But that doesn't tell us much. She was also hot on Doflamingo's trail back in the day. And even though she had multiple chances to catch him, Doflamingo escaped each time. Look, I'm just saying if it was Kizaru chasing after Duffy for so long, he would have been in prison a long time ago already. Also, Kizaru isn't just any admiral. He is insanely strong, holds one of the craziest fruits in the world, and also has strong enough Haki to negate Tsuru's weird washing abilities. So, while Tsuru may have more experience on the battlefield, Kizaru simply outclasses her in every way possible, which means that the new generation is off to a good start with their first win. There are still 8 battles left to cover, and in the next one, the former fleet admiral saying Goku will arrive to help Tsuru out. Oh, and by the way, I'll assume that all previous generation Marines are at their prime during these battles, meaning that this Sengoku will be much stronger than the one we saw at Marineford. So, does Kizaru stand any chance in this 2 versus 1? To answer that, let's first try to measure how strong Prime Sengoku is. We know that he is a living legend who has been Marine for many decades, during which he has fought against some of the strongest pirates in the world like Roger, Whitebeard, and Shiki. Needless to say, he is much stronger than Tsuru and probably closer to the Emperors in terms of strength. And we know Kizaru didn't have a great experience fighting one of those. Luffy completely destroyed him with their fight kind of ending in a draw because Luffy ran out of energy. And even though Kizaru wasn't focused on defeating Luffy, I doubt the battle would have gone much differently even if he was. So anyway, Kizaru's chances of beating Sengoku are slim, but with Tsuru there to help Sengoku out, his chances drop to 0. Yeah, see, I'm surprised that Kizaru didn't win this one. But what if he had Fujitora by his side? Would this change anything? Now that the numbers are even again, there can be 2 separate battles. Kizaru against Sengoku and Fujitora against Tsuru. One way we can compare Fujitora and Tsuru is through Doflamingo, since they both fought him at some point. Back in the day, Doflamingo was scared of Tsuru and would try to avoid her at any cost. He did have to fight her a few times, though, but always managed to escape in the end. On the other hand, Doflamingo only fought Fujitora once, and he completely crapped his pants. Now, that by itself is enough to tell us that Fujitora is definitely stronger, but considering that he has fought some of the strongest revolutionaries, and even another admiral, I think it's safe to assume he is. Their battle would definitely be a longer one, with Fujitora using his gravity abilities to gain an advantage. However, just as Fujitora starts getting the upper hand, he would turn around to see Kizaru defeated on the floor and Sengoku charging at him. You see, even with a speed advantage, Kizaru simply doesn't have the tools to defeat someone as mighty as Sengoku by himself. And after taking a few hits, he would be completely out of the fight. This means that Fujitora would have to fight both Sengoku and Tsuru at the same time. And yeah, he would be absolutely destroyed. So now that the new generation lost 2 times in a row, we have to add another character to help them, Admiral Greenbull. And this is going to be an interesting one. Before explaining exactly how this fight would go, let's first examine Greenbull and see what he can even do. Even though he hasn't been an admiral for that long, he has participated in a fair amount of fights with some tough people like the revolutionary commanders, the injured All-Stars, and Edward Weevil. So we can say that he is as strong, or maybe even a bit stronger than Fujitora. Now, as far as the fights go, I think the best option would be to have Kizaru fight Tsuru just like in Stage 1, while the two new Admirals would team up against Sengoku. To be completely honest, I'm not actually sure if they could even defeat Sengoku by themselves. But luckily for them, they won't have to because their only objective is to stall him until Kizaru is done with Tsuru. To do that, Greenbull would be fighting head-on since he is good at just planting himself there, while Fujitora would take the role of support, assisting from a distance. So, is this enough to keep a legend like Sengoku at bay? I mean, sure, Sengoku is super strong, and his Buddha form is insane, but Greenbull's constant regeneration and Fujitora's gravity should slow him down quite a bit. And in a worst case scenario, Fujitora can also throw down a meteor or two, since he loves doing that. Anyways, during this fight, Sengoku would get tired really quickly, and even if he manages to take one of them down, as soon as Kizaru defeats Tsuru and arrives to help, it's game over for him. He is a legend, but I doubt even he can take these two down by himself, which means a new gen would finally get another victory. There are still 5 more insane battles left, and this time, the old generation will get help from an unusual character, former Admiral Zephyr. Now, some of you are probably wondering who this guy even is. So, let me explain. Although Zephyr never appeared in the main story, he is confirmed to be canon, and is the one who trained most of the new Admirals. So, does this mean that this guy is also as monstrously powerful as Sengoku? Well, not really. Although he was an Admiral, which is the highest rank within the Marines, he doesn't appear to have a legend status like Garp or Sengoku. Oh, I guess an average Admiral like Greenbull, for example, should be more than enough to keep him at bay. And while that's happening, Fujitora would probably engage in a fight against Tsuru, which leaves only Kizaru to somehow manage against Sengoku. Now, we already know that Fujitora should win his fight against Tsuru, and that Kizaru is probably going to lose after some time. So, it all comes down to how fast Greenbull can defeat Zephyr. And although it sounds weird, I think that Greenbull can actually defeat this guy pretty quickly. I mean, think about it. Zephyr doesn't have a devil fruit power, and his Haki doesn't seem all that impressive. So, it's going to be really hard to do any damage to someone like Greenbull who can constantly regenerate. So, after defeating Zephyr, Greenbull would rush towards Kizaru and would help him stay in the fight. Sometime later, Fujitora would deal a finishing blow to Tsuru, and despite how strong Sengoku is, with all 3 Admirals ready to attack him together, he would stand no chance. Seems like Zephyr was kind of a disappointment, huh? But I promise you that the next old generation character that will be arriving on the battlefield is going to be much more powerful than him. And that character is Kong, the previous Fleet Admiral. Although Kong is a character who barely appeared in the story at all, considering that he was once the Fleet Admiral, which is a position above regular Admirals, that must mean that he is crazy strong. Another interesting thing about him is that he would have probably still been Fleet Admiral if he didn't get promoted to an even higher rank, the world government's commander-in-chief. Based on this, I think it's safe to assume that he is on a similar level of strength to his successor Sengoku, which means he is going to be a giant boost for his team. Considering the new generation is now outnumbered 4-3, it's going to be really tough to create fair matchups for them. The only real option here would be for Kizaru to try and hold off 2 people at the same time, which is going to be incredibly tough. For example, Kizaru could try to fight 2 weaker Marines of the old generation team, Tsuru and Zephyr, but even if he can pull this off, the rest of his team would still be in big trouble. You see, this would leave Kong and Sengoku to fight against Greenbull and Fujitora. And this matchup is a disaster for the new generation. Despite Greenbull's regeneration and Fujitora's overpowered devil fruit, I don't think these 2 could last very long. I mean, they barely managed to hold off Sengoku in one of the previous scenarios. So now that Kong is there to help him, it's not looking good. Even if Kizaru somehow wins his battle, and defeats both Tsuru and Zephyr. By the time he gets there to help his teammates, they would already be dead on the floor, and he would soon join them. The old generation took in. Easy win here. But now it's time for the new gen to also get a much stronger ally, Admiral Aokiji. And this guy is going to completely change the course of the battle. Sure, he may not be in the Navy anymore, but he was an admiral for a long time, so he should be on the team with his other fellow admirals. Aokiji brings a lot to the table, as he is much stronger than the two new admirals. And, in my opinion, he should even be stronger than Kizaru. Anyway, now that the numbers are equal, both teams can have fair fights again. However, I still think the new gen should team up to gain an advantage. Let me explain. You see, instead of everyone fighting one-on-one, Fujitora and Aokiji should team up against Zephyr and Kong, while Kizaru and Greenbull should face Sengoku and Tsuru together. This way, Aokiji can use his insane ice devil fruit to completely freeze Zephyr, which would make the battle against Kong much easier. The other fight will look similar, with the new generation trying to get rid of Tsuru as fast as possible so they can take on Sengoku Tunwon. But this is not going to be easy. So to make sure the new gen has the biggest chance of winning, as soon as Zephyr is dealt with, Fujitora could leave Eiji alone with Kong and go to help the others with Tsuru and Sengoku. Despite how strong Tsuru and Sengoku are, they would be quickly overwhelmed by three admirals fighting them at the same time. The first one to fall would be Tsuru, and after that, it would only be a matter of time before Son Goku gets defeated as well. The four admirals would then group up together to finish off Kong, and he would absolutely obliterate all four of them. No, I'm just kidding. Kong would be on the floor quicker than you can press that subscribe button down there, which you should definitely do, by the way. Thanks. So, with the new gen in the lead once again, the old gen Marines have only one more ally ready to join their side. But this one is far stronger than anyone else we've covered so far and could completely turn the tide of the battle all by himself. Yeah, I'm talking about the hero of the Marines, Garp. Now, don't let Garp's Vice Admiral status fool you, because this man is most likely the strongest Marine ever, live. And the only reason he isn't an Admiral is because he refused the promotion multiple times. He doesn't have any fancy devil fruit abilities or unique fighting styles. He just has so much raw power. Back in the day, he was one of Roger's biggest rivals and was the one who helped defeat the infamous rock pirates. Okay, enough Garp glazing. Let's see how the new generation will tackle this problem. First of all, their strategy to divide into teams wouldn't really work here, as there's no one who can keep Garp at bay. I mean, think about it. Even in his old age, Garp was able to defeat someone like Eiji relatively easily. So, just imagine what he could do in his prime. The only thing the new gen can do is try to trap Garp somehow, while they deal with the rest of the opponents. For example, Eiji could create a huge ice wall around himself and Garp in order to keep him from interfering with the other fights. Now, we already know Aokiji has no chance of winning this, but at least it should give the others some time. However, even with this, the new generation is still outnumbered, as other members would have to take on Sengoku, Kong, Tsuru, and Zephyr at the same time. And yeah, there's just no way this would work out for them. Even if by some miracle they manage to defeat Tsuru or Zephyr, as soon as Garp is done with Aokiji, the new generation will be completely overpowered and easily defeated. Wow! This fight was so easy for the old gen that you might think there's no way the new gen can turn it around. But that's where you would be wrong, because in the last stage, the current fleet admiral, Akainu, would be joining the battle. So, let's now answer the final question. Could the new Marine generation defeat the old one if they both fought at full strength? First of all, Aku is without a doubt the strongest new gen admiral, and his duel against Eiji proves it. The reason for this is mostly his ridiculously powerful devil fruit, which is confirmed to be the strongest offensive fruit in the entire show. Using it, he can easily leave permanent scars on people simply by touching them, and it was even powerful enough to completely destroy Eiji's leg. Needless to say, Akainu is exactly what the new generation needed in order to level the playing field against the monsters of the previous era. Now, you may think that the best choice of new generation would be to have Akainu fight against Garp, as they're the two strongest characters. However, there might be a better idea. What about letting Akainu get rid of everyone else first? For this to happen, two people would have to keep Garp occupied. Let's say Aokiji and Fujitora. This seems realistic, as Aokiji already proved that he can stand toe-to-toe with Garp, and with Fujitora's help, they should be able to survive for a bit. Meanwhile, Greenbull will fight against Zephyr, as we already established that he can most likely beat it. This leaves Kizaru and Akainu to fight against three people. I believe that the best option for them here would be for Kizaru to try and take Tsuru out as fast as possible while Akainu endures the onslaught of Sengoku and Kong. This sounds impossible, but keep in mind that Akainu has survived getting quacked by Whitebeard multiple times, so I think he'd be fine. While that's happening, Kizaru would easily get rid of Tsuru and would arrive to assist him. Despite this 2v2 is still going to be a really tough matchup for New Gen, and I'm still not sure if they could win it. However, they don't really have to, because by this time, Greenbull will be done with Zephyr and would arrive to help. Despite Kong and Sengoku's strength, they will be outnumbered here, and I really don't see them winning this one. So, after some time, both of them would fall. But wait. The battle is not over here yet, because at the exact same time, Garp would emerge victorious from his battle, having defeated both Aokiji and Fujitora all by himself. However, he would be visibly tired and wounded after that encounter. And although it is Garp we are talking about here, I don't think even he could muster up the strength to defeat 3 more Admirals. It's just too unrealistic. And Garp would soon fall like the rest of his team, leaving the new gen victorious. Man, Zephyr and Tsuru really held the old gen down throughout this final fight. But did you ever wonder what would have happened if new and old pirate generations fought each other? Click on this video to find out. The results may surprise.